Boy, I told.
We come to you all over the Mari right now, and we thank you and praise you for the opportunity to come together. We pray that you bless all the sons of Suru within the Ifa of Ileo Ogun Inu. And we continue to pray that we continue to go on and grow. We thank you for our brother, Baba Molu, who's able to operate and bring us all together through video chat. And we pray that our hearts and minds will be stayed on doing that which we're called to do, speaking wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, and learning and growing with each other. Ashe.
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 I guess when you say elder, that's what I'm talking about me.
Yep. Definitely.
This, you know, I started in the work world and I was always the youngest. So now being the oldest, this is a new thing. I'm a dinosaur. But it's all good.
Ashe.
So now when we're coming together, I mean, it's different not seeing the other brothers, but we're coming together now just to know each other and form relationship and actually get the mindset as to what direction we're striving to go. So I'm opening the floor to anyone who wants to speak. Ashe.
Ashe. I go.
Ashe.
This is Tunji. My understanding of why we're getting together, in addition to what Baba just said, is to open some things up as far as planning for Sons of Suru to some other brothers. We're supposed to kind of go over some of the history of men's societies, and you know, anybody else can speak on this. In fact, I'll open it up. You know, if anyone else wants to say anything about the history of men's societies, that'd be cool, and then I can go into what we've been doing as far as Sons of Suru. Any takers?
Could you? I didn't hear you. Could you say that again, bro?
I go.
I'll say.
I didn't hear you.
I was opening up the floor for folks to speak on their understanding of men's societies, the purpose, the history, just in general. Ashe.
I don't know if anyone. Ashe. I go.
I go.
Ashe.
My particular, you know, preliminary knowledge would be patience and balance. Is my, you know, basic knowledge of that meaning and what it adheres to. Ashe.
I'll go.
Ashe.
Ashe.
My understanding is that that's what we're to represent, patience and balance. However, the Sons of Suru are a male Egbe within Ile Okunu Inu, the Ile, and is there to support the Ile and strive to create balance along with the daughters of the womb to help the Ile go forward and actually form and walk as role models to anyone who's coming into the Ile to represent the Ile and represent African traditional culture.
Ashe.
I'll go. Something just happened. I like something was spinning.
All right.
Okay, seems
Ashe.
that I think you might have dropped out a bit, but we seem.
I may have dropped out.
No, you're in. You're good now. You were breaking up. I'll go.
Ashe.
Sure.
Yeah, I would love to. It would be good because we are live. We're broadcasting and we're recording. If we get some interaction from all the brothers, man, it would be greatly appreciated.
I say. So I go. Anybody?
I go.
Ashe.
I say.
So what comes to mind just as basics of a men's society would be kind of implementing the wisdoms and knowledge to take us as young men to men and from men to elders. So just dispersing that wisdom and knowledge, some training to go along with being able to see the world and how we fit in it as sons, as men, as fathers, as grandparents, elders, so on and so forth, specifically to do with men, in the grand scheme of how we may come together with all. I shall.
I say.
Ashe.
Go.
I'll say.
I'll go.
I do pray.
Baba Bamideli. I don't know whether your volume is way up, cause I heard you, but it was faint.
I'll go.
Ashe.
This is Baba Tunji again. I appreciate both those responses. That's my understanding of men's societies, traditional men's societies in general, and also our direction with Sons of Suru. So, my understanding is this is where boys learn what it means to be a man. You learn all those things that you need to be a successful man in the world. We have a unique opportunity being here in the West because we learn things a different way. The Sons of Suru are a physical adult age, but not necessarily spiritual or traditional. My understanding is that following the cycles of life, the traditional cycles of life, where each, both the men and the women in the Elay are going to go through the process of learn at different age grades or age stages. And so, starting off, a lot of our interactions are going to be together. So the brothers are going to be, we have to have some idea of what it means to be a sister also, just like they have to have some idea of what it means to be a man, in the sense that we have to hold each other accountable. So with that, as we progress, we'll start separating a bit more and doing more gender-specific activities or gender-specific lessons. Things that will be the hour or secrets of man, and they do the things that are secrets of women. The Daughters of the Womb has been going for a while, as Elay has been a traditionally a woman's Elay for a while. It was formed to address women's issues. Fortunately, Baba Luashoga is a longtime member. I remember seeing his name on documents a while back, even though I haven't met him up until recently. But with all things in the universe as we understand, There has to be balance. So even though it was traditionally a women's elay, brothers have needs and brothers have things we can contribute also. So to bring that harmony, more and more brothers. But with that, there's a need for us to catch up as far as spiritual or cultural ages as well. And so that's what Sons of Suru, that's what our direction is, I'll say. There's potential for development. Like I said, we aren't in Nigeria. Although we follow Ishe, we follow what our ancestors have done culturally. There's a lot to it, and so things are continuously unfolding.
I'll go.
Anybody else have anything standing of what men's societies or Sons of Suru is?
I'll go. I just wanted to tag on to some of what you did just finish saying. In terms of issues, just like the Daughters of the Womb address specific issues, we as men have our own gender specific issues in reference to how we interact, communicate with women, how we respect women, how we view women as our opposites versus our subordinates, and how we can willingly learn from a woman. We all have different viewpoints in terms of whether that should be or whether that shouldn't be. We all have different viewpoints in terms of just how that's supposed to be. So I think that's something to open up to discussion so we can represent as a whole on the same path. I say. I'll go. Can you hear me? Because I'm kind of muted.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was on mute. Sometimes with the live broadcast, when a person is speaking, some of us who are on the live interface, we may have to mute because the interference will drown out someone talking. So that's why I did that. But what I wanted to say is, could I get some feedback from Baba Baudet? Are you there, brother? Baba Baudet, are you there? Okay, I know. Are you muted, Baba Baudet? We cannot hear you. Second here. We might be having connection issues. We'll see if I can reconnect this.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. There are 2 participants in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Yes, Baba Baudet. Baba Majay, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I don't know. I thought I was trying to get
Can you
Baba Baudet. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm doing listening in.
Oh, okay.
And I agree. I mean, but as a man in society, I do believe that there are certain issues that as men that we will only disclose to each other. I mean, so and looking at the Sons of Suru, there are conversations that I think as men we probably do need to address, and I guess take out, and that's my thing, is to take the political correct way or just trying to be politically correct, and actually just talk as we would at a bar or whatever. Talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, we see the elephant but won't speak on the elephant. I mean, say what it is that we truly feel, and take the correctness out of it, and let's just talk. Because I notice it's quiet, and it's like, okay, I don't know whether or not we're shutting each other out to see what's going to be the nature of the conversation. I mean, let's talk. Let's open it up and talk.
I'll say.
I agree.
I'll go.
I say.
Well, I did want to share my screen with the first draft of our mission and objective, and present that in a fashion to get a dialogue going. I believe Baba Tunji also submitted, which I do have queued up, a rough draft also of protocols. So if we are open to seeing that, I can surely present it.
I say.
Shay.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay. I see we want it's a quiet period here. I have a.
Yeah.
Is there a problem as on the Suru that we have with the e-lake, so to speak? Is there things that we see that we don't like, or is there things that we see that maybe need to be improved in, or what? Do we have a problem with the person being over the E-ray being a female, not a male? I mean, can we talk, or are we going to feel holy land, or do we feel that being a part of the Sons of Suru, that things that we discuss here should back to the E-ray? I mean, what? I guess not.
Go.
I say.
I mean, because we do know that certain conversations.
I was just wondering, maybe
the woman
Molu can.
not going to be discussed with Sons of Suru.
I think we got a delay problem because I think this brother's trying to respond. I think Baba Tunji and Baba Olashoga were attempting to respond because we have a live internet feed, so we're going to have a bit of a delay. But go ahead, brother. Tunji, I believe you were trying to say something.
I was just going to ask a question. I was going to ask if maybe you can kind of read it for us, because mine is kind of distorted, and so we might be missing a whole lot of what he's saying.
Okay.
Maybe you can kind of reiterate.
Yeah, we had a delay prior to me presenting the documentation. He had made a statement that it was a bit of silence and opened up some open dialogue in reference to what roles we're playing in the Sons of Suru. Do we have any complaints? Are we open or closed to any ideas that we may be upset or comfortable with? Do we want to talk about Paulo, as we have a yay that is our head, as being an issue, or any other things like that, of that sort? You have, we're probably going to get some viewers from the overall ELA, because the link is out. We have 2 people actually watching, so I'm sure everybody's engaged and wants to participate. We have a live chat that's going on while we're broadcasting, so everybody, dialogue is needed because we are live and we're being interactive. So that is what Brother Baba Maje was reiterating, brother.
I say thank you, brother.
No problem. So is anyone ready to engage, or should I move forward with the presentation? Is anyone respond to Baba Maje's point of contention?
I go.
Ashe.
How's this volume first? I know there was somebody talking about the volume may have been a little loud or distorted.
Yeah, you sound good.
I go. It's
Okay.
it's good.
Okay. In reference to some things that Maje had brought up and some things that I've seen not too long ago, there have been some arguments from some people about traditional Ifa versus this new Ifa. And there have been some things that have come up where just we have men that's just we don't want to take orders from a woman, so to speak. I think it's a lot of the times it's more of a personal issue that we're dealing with, and the dialogue needs to be opened. If we have an issue with any of that, yeah, I agree with Majid. We can bring it up. We can talk about it, so we can. So it's not an elephant in the room, so to speak, or it's not just another obstacle that we're coming into. Ashe.
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 Okay, I'll go.
Ashe.
Ashe.
I only been in the ELA. I only been in the ELA for a year. So my question is, I'm sure brothers that have been in the ELA for more than the time that I have been. Was there ever a time or that you was part of the ELA and left and then came back? And was the reason for you leaving the ELA, are we going through these same issues now that caused you to leave, or not? And the reason for coming back is to, I don't know, rebuild the ELA, or, I mean, do it come to a point where life and your duties in the ELA becomes a bit hectic and one has to go, and sometimes the one that you have to away from end up being the ELA or your spiritual base, so that maybe what's going on in the physical, you have to get straightened out and then come back to your physical base. I mean, I've been a part of the lodge and this is where I have to speak from my experience that I've been part of the lodge for over 27 years. And through that experience, I've always, stayed, even though there have been some times that I truly wanted to walk away. And I had a support team like Brother Malou. So plenty of times I have had conversations with him about, brothers, this is just getting a bit too hectic. This is not having even an understanding of what the Alma Mar Grand Lodge is all about, and then you get the elders that don't see it as well. So sometimes you get to a point where maybe it's the part you just want to like, you know what, I'm gonna step back and let everyone do what they're gonna do and see how it works. And sometimes a person in the leadership role, that's not the thing to do. Sometimes the thing to do is to listen to your subordinates, so to speak, and see whether or not there's room for change. So I was just wondering, was it any time that anyone could miss a beat and take a break and then come back and reassess things and see where they actually stand or sit or is a part of the whole, so to speak.
I'll go.
Not sure.
I say.
Well, I imagine it seems like I would be the one that was there in the earlier stages and then separated and then came back. But I wouldn't consider it a separation, more like a hiatus in terms of understanding and what I was going through personally in my life. The distance also was a barrier, and it was more personal, but had nothing to do with the ELA or the organization per se, because at the time when I was involved, I mean, I believe pretty much everybody was coming from somewhere else. It really, I don't remember meeting anybody that was right there in Chicago at the ELA. Well, two people I do remember, but one has opened up their own ELA now, and the other one has transitioned. Everybody else was coming from out of state. So now it's totally different. I mean, there's so many more brothers, there's sisters that I haven't met. So I really couldn't say that it had anything to do with the ELA per se. It had to do with my personal growth. Now, what I see is that it's just a matter of structure and unity and getting on the same page. I heard a lot of things have gone over the bridge or under the water, however you want to say it, that I really was not there to be a part of, and kind of was requested to come back to strive to help destroy some of that residual effect. And I believe that's happening. I think all of you as brothers, because you're there and because you have that connection with the lodge or right there in the area, have an opportunity to make a real big difference within that community. Vision, though, is what drives the purpose. And that vision must come from the head. And I think that we as the sons of Suru, connecting with the daughters of the womb to get the vision of the head, or work together with the elders and whatever board there is of the ELA to create a vision to really move forward. From what I understand, I think there's 3 or 4 of you brothers that are going to be going to Nigeria to open up and enhance that connection with the other part of the ELA or the ELA in Nigeria, and to be able to bring back that vision that talks about making that transition or that connection to make everything stronger. So me per se, any reason for me to be dormant, for a better way of saying, is more personal than anything that was going on in LA. I hope that answers your question. Ashe.
Ashe.
I say. Well, what I'll do at this moment is I'm gonna leave the floor open for any more comments, and then segue into our protocols. I have not been that long. It hasn't quite been for me, Elay. And I do think that, this is a good medium to, express ourselves as, as men in the brotherhood, and to try to get a common bond and a common understanding, and be able to
Ashe.
be flexible enough to adapt. We have protocols and we'll have rules in place, but there's always quantum aspects, a gray area to those things, and it requires a bit of patience and countenance, because initially we should be discriminatory. I do believe that discrimination is required in organizations, that we're not just freely open to everyone. We probably could have methods or things that would prepare a person to become a son of Suru prior to actually becoming a member, because we have to set a standard, and that way we can treat each other with a degree of openness towards one another, instead of holding a person accountable for something that they probably just can't accomplish because they haven't been trained or brought up to do so. But that's my 2 cents on it. That's my 2 cents on that one.
I go.
So, I'll say.
I appreciate that also, brother. Yeah, as you were speaking, I was just thinking. Yeah, I try to be kind of laid back. I'm a bit more laid back now than I have been in the past. I'm usually pretty focused and driven on some things, or passionate about some things. But I know there's always another side to the situation, and at this point in my life, I understand that uh, until the end of all, there's always room to grow. There's always room to develop, amend, change, add on to. Sometimes, hey, we try some things in the ELA and we evaluate it. Okay, that's not working too well. Let's try it this way. And so a lot of times there's some changes, and people have a hard time adapting to change. That's just the nature of and change, period. Um, Oya is uh, the spiritual aspect of change, sudden change. And people have described Oya as being ugly. You can't gaze on their face and this and that. Well, that's because we have a hard time dealing with change. And even though in some aspects, some things haven't changed in the ELA, it's a change for the individual. So to what Majay was asking about, if anybody had any issues with anything, specifically leadership, or the idea that Yeye in particular, a woman, was initially directing things with the Sons of Suru. People's understanding. Well, if it wasn't for Yeye, things would have started to begin with.
I say.
And so a lot of people don't really understand that. If it wasn't for Yeye, you wouldn't have a lot of things yourself. So hopefully we've kind of done away with that as we get more members. it's something that might have to be readdressed over time depending on what they come in with. I think those of us here are pretty set in our understanding as well as our appreciation for what's taking place. Um, Now, just as an example, you know, Yeye was in, we had two Sons of Suru groups in WhatsApp. One is kind of like a general one for people just coming in, and, you know, we also have a liaison there, just like they have a liaison from us, so we can kind of interact in a general way. So Yeye was a liaison to Daughters of the Womb for us. But in our men's group, our closed group, she removed herself from it. She's not a part of that. So her purpose was to get things going for one. And I think a lot of confusion came in that people had a different understanding of the purpose of Sons. Not a secret men's society for us to just decide what we're going to do willy-nilly. You know, we ran into some problems with some leadership before. They had their own program. They're trying to do their own thing with it. And that's not what it's about. It was specifically designed, Lua Shoga was pointing out, to be a counterpart to Daughters of the Womb, Sister Society. And both of them are to develop men and women based on the direction of the Elay. So the Elay has a mission statement, some objectives. We have 7 keys. So all of what we do and all of what Daughters of the Womb does should coincide with that. But it's gender specific. So once I got that understanding, I said, oh, okay, that's no problem. Some people, they couldn't vibe with that. And here's a woman trying to tell us what to do. This is supposed to be a men's society, and they weren't getting it. So like I said, hopefully all of that's been rooted out right now. A lot of members kind of decided to do other things, either or action. So yeah, it's just something we have to continuously keep in mind regarding new members. Make sure that they get an understanding of what the purpose is, what this actually is. It's a training center. Down the line, it might be a mentorship program or the direct program. So yeah, I say. I go.
Okay.
I say.
I think Molu, you said you were presenting what we had. Maybe we can get some feedback from Baudet in particular, because he hasn't been part of the calls. And I don't remember if Lashe was available or not. We may have missed him this time, but maybe Baudet can try to absorb some of what we've been doing and at least put on his plate, you know, working out some ideas if he doesn't have any right now as far as protocol. All right, Jay.
I go. Is Brother Bombadilli gone?
No, I'm here, brother.
Oh, okay. 'Cause I got a black spot on my spot. I was like, okay, I'll say I'm sorry.
I go. No,
I say.
it said my phone was overheating, so I just turned off some of the functions on it. So
I got you.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, I go.
I say.
Yeah, I'm gonna just preview what we've developed initially. Brother Baudet, I believe, is online. I think Brother Majay got this in his email. I'm not sure, but by this being recorded, everyone will be able to reference back to it. I'm going to share my screen and momentarily those of you who are in the video feed, quite naturally, you'll be able to see it. And if you look, you see the document that we're drafting for Sons of Suru. And we start out with our mission, which states the brothers of SOS, and that will be Sons of Suru, want to create an environment of mentorship and the development of spirituality within the mutuality of manhood, which entails the ability of acquiring knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and above all, patience. Suru. We strive to support our women, whom are kingmakers, and our children, who are our future. Would anyone like to elaborate or expound or have an opinion on that particular portion before we move on? Once, twice.
I say.
That's it.
I say.
I go.
I say.
I say.
Now, in the statement, now, are we voting on this is it, and that there's no more adding to it or taking away from it? This is what's gonna show as our part of our mission statement.
I'll go.
Sure.
I say.
We had mentioned in the administrators meeting that this document is a living document. So if things need to be augmented, it would be and can be. So that would answer to that question. I'll say.
That's it.
That's it.
I go.
I'll say.
I say.
That's it.
How many brothers is on? So maybe some of the other brothers that I thought was on is not on. So I don't hear them responding to some of the topics. So maybe they're not on.
Well, as of right now, I'll go. We have
Okay.
I say.
6 brothers on at the moment. Baba Bode, yourself, Baba Olashola, Baba Bamadeli, Baba Tunji, and myself.
Okay. Okay. That is like it. Okay. I see.
I'll say. So I go.
That's it.
I say.
If we need to augment, we're open, of course. The mission statement can be augmented. This was the foundry piece that we put together, and it's always open for change as far as the mission. And if there is a call to action, quite naturally we move forward, and I can move on to the next phase. I say.
That's it.
I say.
Sure.
The next portion of the master document is, who are we? And if you can see my screen, if everyone sees it, that's on the video feed and watching from YouTube. You see, as Sons of Suru, there are fundamental characteristics that define us at our core. We are honorable, authentic, holistic, problem solvers, self-starters, healers. We are spiritual, and in being spiritual, we are initiated together in and as Sons of Suru. We're also teachers, protectors. I did not read the details of it, as I'm showing it in the video. But these are the attributes that describe us, or adjectives that describe us as sons of Suru. If anyone wants to expound on it or wants me to read the quantum aspects of each subtopic, I'll gladly do that. I yield the floor. Ashe.
I go.
Ashe.
I just want to give folks an idea of why we have that. It goes back to one of our original assignments. I think last year, maybe the year before, when Sons of Suru was beginning to form. You know, it was society. We don't know what it looks like. And so, you know, Yeye suggested, well, we can't tell you how to form a group, but what we did in a women's society was first define who we are. So you have to have some direction in knowing who you are in order to as to where you're going. So, you know, she posed the idea, well, come up with some adjectives or some descriptions. What a son of Suru would be. So with that, we took some ideas of what it would be, some things that we can strive for or exemplify. And so we were just asked to expound on it because we came up with words or maybe some phrases before, but we really didn't dive into what those actually meant. So this is just to give everybody some direction as far as how we view ourselves and not only to the sisters, but to the rest of the community as far as who we are. Yay, Jill.
Lafayette. Hey.
Lafayette, brethren.
I'll continue, Baba Tunji.
That was it, brother. Like I said, just a general idea of why we have that. Why it was important to say who we are and also keep it in the forefront. Ashe.
Ashe. I go.
Ashe.
I would like to acknowledge and say welcome to Baba Yezu, Alafia, Wanga.
Alafia.
Wanga.
Alafia, brethren.
Alafia. It's good to see you.
You're on mute, Baba Yezu.
Do that do it? Let's see.
There you go.
It is.
Oh, okay. You gave me now?
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Brothers. Pleasure to be here.
Alafia.
Yes, sir. I go.
Ashe.
Baba Yezu, we are speaking on. Baba Yezu, we were speaking on. You know who we are as sons of Suru. Call to action was also asked. What is your overall opinion on the roles that we play as sons of Suru? Are there any things that you are not necessarily at peace with? Or are there things that you are happy with that you want to express as a brother in the sons of Suru? Ashe.
Can you hear me?
Ashe.
Okay. I'm trying to kind of get used to it real quick. I am happy with the idea of us wanting to get together and be, you know what I'm saying, activist sons of Suru and everything that encompasses of being more active in having a deeper connection with each other as well as I like, you know what I'm saying? I'm happy about that. Uh I don't have any negative or you know what I'm saying any problems or anything that I think, you know, I think we all here because, you know, it's something that we gotta put together. So, you know,
Say, okay, I want to go to the next portion of the document, which is the goals and objectives. And if you see my screen, and those of you who can, if you use a cell phone, just hit my screen, and it'll blow up. Goals and objectives is to cultivate and elevate us as sons through communicating with masculine energy, through study of its manifestations in our personal lives, families, community, and society, through research, literature, and philosophy, through experimentation, practical application, and accountability. Learn and understand balance and alignment, awaken and strengthen the quintessence of masculine energy. Application and understanding of Suru, patience. Develop a working understanding of patience. Develop methods of centering. Comparative study on traditional and modern view of men and manhood, its roots and effects, as Babatunde spoke of earlier. Looking into spiritual traditions, responsibilities, and roles of brotherhoods. And develop an understanding and methodology of our responsibility to our fellow sons. Implement guides that will bring young men to manhood and men to eldership. Using wisdom's spiritual tools and rituals to foster breakthroughs in roadblocks. I yield the floor to any questions on that. That is really a lot of dynamic things. There were some key elements that were spoken of in regards to comparative methods of application and study. That's very important, in my opinion. But I yield the floor and open to feedback.
I'll go.
I'll say.
As you said, there's a whole lot of meat there, and it seems like it's all encompassing. I think the most important thing is that we strive to work it through one aspect at a time, you know, and target, you know, different areas of it as we move through it. But that is the goal, to get for all of us to live up to everything there. As you were saying, in terms of comparing and experimenting with different aspects so that we can grow. So, I mean, are we there yet? No. But that's what we're striving to be, correct? Ashe.
Ashe. Else with any comments or input?
I'll go.
Ashe.
So like Brother Shogo was saying, let's attempt to kind of break some of that stuff down, like what it really means on a practical level, as far as, for example, what are our obligations to our brothers? You know what I'm saying? And you know, we might think that that's kind of something that we really don't need to say, but you know, a handshake means that we agree on the same thing. So I just want to make sure that we agree on the same things.
I say point of contention to the floor.
I say I go.
Not sure.
Not sure.
The only way to really know how much we agree is through dialogue. And I believe that Baba Majay was striving to say earlier, before Baba Iju came on, was in terms of us just kind of moving into a place where we feel freely to communicate. That's how relating and coming together about everything. I mean, all of us are going through different aspects of our life. And being able to share and sometimes I personally may be going through something and forget certain things about, for instance, I know that, my faith and my belief system will take me a long way. But if I'm in the middle of going through something, sometimes I might forget and allow my emotion to overtake what I already know. So by us communicating with each other, another one can lift you up and say, hey, just remember this too will pass. And no matter what, you still are who you are. So us agreeing is only going to come through us talking and spending this time together. Ashe.
Not sure.
I'll go.
Ashe.
Not sure.
Yes, I agree. Bobby Yeju, this is before you came on, and this is why we want to try to organize and mobilize more of our brothers to partake in these meetings as dialogue is needed. This is a living document. And what that means to those who are watching or who may not have attended this meeting, the living document is it lives and breathes with our development cosmologically, literally, and physically. So as we grow as a brotherhood and we develop a trust and agreement within each other, the document grows. So we have a foundation, which would be a landmark and a barometer in which we set a tone of excellence. And we give flexibility in order to respect each person as an individual man without trying to circumvent or dictate their intellectual and spiritual freedom. So this document is being designed to facilitate that need. I'll say.
Not sure. I'll go.
Ashe.
I'll go.
Ashe.
I'll say.
I wasn't sure if someone else asked to speak. My phone was kind of on delay there. Is it my floor?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeju asked a very key question. It's something that I kind of took for granted because I looked at how I see things from my own perspective. The bond that the brothers have is a tight bond, or at least should be. We're working towards that. But he raised a very important question, which is, what are my obligations? So it's something we hadn't really discussed before, other than, hey, we're brothers and we try to do what we can for each other. I was going to make suggestions, since the whole purpose in us putting this together is to get input from other brothers as far as how we do things. And I guess this can actually lead into protocol, right? It actually is an aspect of protocol. What are his ideas as far as obligations? What does he see personally as being an obligation? I say.
I go. Was for clarity, you want me to address what do I see as obligations to my brothers?
I say.
Okay. Thank you, Baba.
I was on mute. Yes, that was my question, brother.
Cool. Um, okay. Let me start off by saying what I personally expect from my brothers. You know what I'm saying? So I won't be speaking in generalities. You know. Um, I expect um for my brothers to keep me honest. You feel me? You know, and I'm not sensitive, so you know I like it raw. Cause you know that's how I be needing it sometimes. You know, especially us dealing in these energies. We don't know that we acting the way we acting until we all then went all out. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
I expect for my brothers to keep me honest. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be baby. You feel me? You don't have to sugarcoat it with me. Um, I expect, man. I expect if I really, really need you, and you know how we are. So if I call you and I ask you, I probably really, really need you because I'm not that type of person. I didn't really want to call. I didn't really want to ask. So if I ask, you know, if it's something that you know, man, that you reach for me, you know, um, I expect, man, I expect to be, you know what I'm saying, talk. You know, I'm young. You know what I'm saying? I'm like maybe one of the youngest, you know. So I expect to, you know what I'm saying, be taught. You know what I'm saying? Like if I, you know, I might need to learn something, you feel me? And I expect, you know what I'm saying, my brothers to be the type of it to be a nurturing environment for teaching or learning, you know. You know, I know how we, you know, us in the Masonic world know how we can get into, you know, all type of questioning and demanding and kind of like, you know, lashing. But, you know, I just, that's kind of a few of the things that I expect off top.
Not
I
sure.
say.
I go.
I say.
So when I was drafting this part, a couple of things came up to me. When Baba Oluwashogo was talking about some things that he may be going through, one of the things that came up to is when we hear about certain things from our brothers, is it a surprise? It's just that reaching out, that communication. So when we find out, hey, Baba is going through this and that, and it shouldn't be a surprise to us. We should have that level of communication going, and that responsibility will kind of unfold as we are communicating. It's kind of rough down here, this, that, and the other, or the family is going through this, that, and the other. So as we start to continue to communicate with each other, we can step up and say, you know what, this is some wisdom. Here is this, here is that. If it's a monetary contribution or something like that, but that whole thing about what we going through being a surprise to one another was kind of on my mind, and I think that we can do some things in that area. Not sure.
That's it.
I say. I'll go.
I
Not
say.
sure.
I didn't think it was 37, and I definitely have a clue. Um, Expect certain levels of tutelage from your elders. Say this as advice. And again, this dialogue, I'll say this just advice. Be open and willing to accept the answer that comes to a younger development. Ask for advice, but don't like the advice given or like the way it's delivered. Like you say, you have tough skin, you don't take it personally. Sometimes because conditioned to be everything, breadwinners, we not conditioned, we can't cry, we can't be scared, we gotta be stoic, we gotta be all these things that we're not. We tend to repress and regress our ability to be compassionate toward each other as brothers. So that's good you said that. I wish that there were more. again, we got a couple of young brothers that just come into the fold, that they were here, because if you come with your hand out, then be ready to eat what's served. I say, I digress.
I say, I'll go.
I say.
And I just want to add on to what Baba Bamidele was saying. That is the whole purpose of us, talking to each other and just being real. Sometimes my experience has been in various spiritual organizations, whether it be a church or whatever. A lot of times, and I think this is what Baba Majay was talking about, we have a tendency to feel like we got to follow the formality and the protocols and everything like that. And we have a fear of dropping down those walls to show who we really are. Brotherhood and relationship allows us to do that so that we can cry, so that we can show our faults and our mistakes, because that's the only time we're going to be able to grow. You know, every day, my part of the process of me working with the young people that I work with is for me to strive to be real with them, because they're not going to listen to me if they think that I'm just somebody who thinks they know it all. I don't know it all, but I'm willing to learn with you and with them so that I can get better. Wisdom comes through experience and knowledge. So you can't gain wisdom on your own. I mean, you can on your own, but you got to experience a heck of a lot of different things to get there. But we can collectively have wisdom from each and everybody's experience. There's a scripture that says they overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the word of their testimonies, and they love not their lives unto death. So those testimonies about our real life experiences is what's going to bring each one of us over. So when I can talk about day to day or what's happening to me on my job or within my family or whatever, that's a good thing. And then somebody else can grow from it by me sharing it. But that comes from trust, and trust only comes from relationship and spending time. So I believe that's what this is about. Ashe.
Sure.
I'll go.
Ashe.
I just want to say thank you to Yeju for putting that out there. Like I said, I take things for granted. That's the things the way I see it. And I see us as being a group of brothers as being of the utmost importance, because we don't often have that. We don't have that support from other brothers. And I try to always do what I can for brothers in general anyway, for anybody. But like I said, this is something that we don't have, so it's even more important to me. But I think it's good dialogue that you put out there, because everybody doesn't come with the same understanding, the same degree of seriousness. And like Baba Lua Shogo was saying, our relationship is going to develop the more time we spend, the more interaction we have with each other. We can get to know each other. Yeju likes it raw. He likes people to be greasy with him, whereas some other folks might be, and this isn't a shot, a bit more sensitive about things. So there's a different approach that has to be taken. This is extremely important with younger people or newer members that come in, because we don't know what they're coming from. People come from all sorts of stuff. Everybody has their own experience. And so we have to sometimes be cautious, till we get to understand a little bit, so we can address their needs. We come in raw, that might be what they've always experienced, and that may not have worked so well for them. And so they're like, oh, this is just like everything else. So our interaction with each other is tantamount to knowing each other, and we should know each other if we're all one unit. Ashe.
I said,
Go, Baba Majay. I think you were attempting to speak. You have the floor.
I said.
Baba Majay, are you there? Okay, Baba Majay was there. He was attempting to say something. I don't know if he hung up or he got. Hold on, okay, I know what it is. The call dropped, so hold on a second here, guys.
Welcome. This service is provided by freeconferencecall.com. There are 2 participants in the conference. Please announce yourself.
Alafia, Baba Majay, you do have the floor. We had a connection problem, so forgive me. The internet is, crazy. So, but you have the floor now, man. You're able to speak.
Oh no, I'm good now.
Okay.
But truly, I think as we go into the brotherhood, we truly have to realize that I would have no one do anything that I'm not willing to go through or have been through. And I would not have a question on anyone that, I just know that it's not right, and I can, handle certain things myself. So as brothers, I do believe in do unto others as you will have them do unto you. That's just the way I go out my practice. Whenever I do anything, I don't do. What is it? You and I on this now?
Oh no, we got a full time.
Oh, okay. It was one.
I'm here.
I also want to share with everyone the final document, which is a rough draft of protocols. And I'll be sharing that now. And this is a draft of protocols that, of course, is ongoing because protocols, that's a sensitive thing. We have 2 subtopics within the protocol draft, which is disrespect and disruptive intent and conflict. In the area of disrespect should not and will not be tolerated in gatherings, meetings, conference calls, trainings, etc. We strive to exemplify coolness and patience, as Suru implies. With this, respecting self, fellow sons, elders, daughters, and other men and women within and outside of our community is expected. In the event that disrespect is given, or what can potentially be deemed as disrespect is shown or developing, the said violator will be dealt with as follows. 1, will be removed from area of violation and or all common areas by they in person, phone, or virtual. 2, will be isolated in Emole virtual group as a designated physical location at gathering or will be put on immediate conference call. 3, at least 2 members, preferably leadership or elders, will meet with the individual to discuss infraction, reestablish Suru, and establish corrective course of action for the individual, including possible penalties incurred. These penalties are not instead of ELA penalties or fines, but may be in addition to. The second topic, disruptive intent and conflict, will also be quelled before things get out of hand if an individual begins to show questionable signs of disrespect in conversation or action. See procedure for disrespect. Part 3, conflict between individuals. And forgive me, I didn't mention that. We seek to resolve all conflicts in a peaceful and patient manner. If they occur in a gathering such as a meeting, training, celebration, etc., the individuals at odds will be removed to go into emole discussion to resolve the conflict. Likewise, a member could request an emole meeting to have an issue mediated to avoid escalating by discussing issues with the person they are in conflict with. Now, this is in totality the draft of SOS protocol. So I yield the floor for discussion and questions. Ashe.
I go.
Ashe.
Ashe.
I just wanted to share also with the brothers that just joined this process. I mean, in addition to, yes, us needing to get our things together and get organized, we're also preparing for an upcoming meeting with Daughters of the Womb. So there are certain things we want to have in place to share with them and also bounce off of them to make sure that we're in alignment with our side of, I guess, being in alignment with the direction of the ELA. So, like I said before, the sisters are doing things from their perspective. We're doing things from ours with regards to raising men and women under the direction of mission of the ELA. Ashe.
I go.
Ashe.
Okay, we have the floor is open, and we've accomplished presentation, and we've had not the majority, but we've had a few of us on here. And before we close out, are there any closing statements or anything of the such as we close out this meeting? We try to keep it in a timely fashion.
I go.
So I yield the floor.
I just wanted to go back to what we was talking about, the protocol and disrespect, and I was wondering what was going to be the procedure of deciding, if a person truly was indeed like in disrespect or out of order or cause the sons of Suru to be alignment. Are we going to have like some type of vote, or are we going to have a panel, or are we going to have how's that going to work?
Could you reiterate that, Bobby Azu, because I didn't quite understand it.
Okay. Can you hear me clearly right now?
Yes.
It's kind of storming, so I ain't no telling what's going on. I was saying, as far as we just went over the protocol, and as far as disrespect in training and so forth and so on, and I was wondering what was going to be the procedure that Sons of Suru was going to take to like kind of handle that, like. How are we going to decide as a group, like if a person was going to be if a person was being disrespectful, or is there going to be a panel? Is there going to be a group discussion? Is there going to be a vote? Like, what's going to be the procedure of resolving that issue, if indeed it happened?
I'll go.
Sure.
Ashe.
Yeah, I could reiterate there within the dialogue of the draft, it states that Imole, an elder, or a brother of Suru will reach out to that brother with discretion and patience to help peacefully rectify any points of contention. Ashe.
Sure. I go.
I say.
I say.
So let's just put it in a practical situation that we might run into. We have a training going on at the ELA, and let's just say somebody's getting out of hand. The way that I see it, anyone within leadership or any other brothers can, in the beginning, and start to talk like, let's calm the situation down. To just before it escalates and get too far out of hand. And myself, Molu, Babatun, we've discussed kind of quelling stuff before it goes too far. All of us, we can all do that. As far as administering penalties and things like that one, that can be discussed amongst leadership, and more people will be involved to see how much and what type of discipline should be administered in addition to the general ELA protocol disciplines, if you would. Ashe.
I go.
I say.
Ashe.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in practical application also. So, I mean, I go back to some things that have occurred, you know, in particular on WhatsApp. The folks are making some comments that didn't sit well with a lot of people. And you can kind of get an idea when things are getting out of hand or out of pocket. And so there are two options. There's one, you can just ignore it, or two, say something about it, which is what we're all encouraged to do. Like Molu said, we want to exercise patience in doing that because we don't want to add on to the situation. You know, if we're coming out of the pocket to somebody who's being out the pocket, next thing you know, there's a tussle between us. And then other people have to interject in that situation. So the idea is to come to people respectfully. You know, maybe they aren't aware of how they're coming at people. Somebody just has to get their attention. But then there are other times where, yeah, that's their intention to be like that, you know. But at that point, before things go any further, you know, the idea is to remove them from the situation so they don't do any additional harm. And this is even before we had any verbiage in place for all of this. You know, a lot of the brothers just say, "Hey, you know, what's going on? You know, what's the issue?" And then there were phone calls or messages on the side. You know, what's going on with you? So even without having formal verbiage in place as to how we handled it, that's the way we were operating. And it was different people that jumped in. You know, we don't want to see other people being put in a precarious position in what's supposed to be a safe environment for sharing or for learning. And we're definitely not going to allow an elder to be disrespected or our teachers to be disrespected. If we're out in the community, we're definitely not going to allow our sisters to be disrespected. So it's just, I won't say common sense, but you get an idea of when to address something. And everybody has the ability to say something. We have the duty to say something if we see something that's not right.
Ashe.
I go.
I say.
Ashe.
Oh, okay. Anybody hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Just get it out there.
I go.
I say.
Ashe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's going in and out, so I don't know if y'all can hear me or not. Uh, what I was gonna say was, with that said, um, as far as us as brothers speaking up, you know, and speaking out, and that particular situation on WhatsApp and how it happened, um, should we elect an individual, one individual to like be that spokesman or that person that happens to speak up or speak out? Because I look at it like, you know, with that situation, you know, it was considered a misunderstanding, but you know, it was kind of like 5 or 6 people jumping out, you know what I'm saying? And you know, it worked out fine in that particular place, but you know, that could be a situation where it can do more harm than good. You know, I think that if we, you know, should we elect a particular individual, so you kind of know, like if this particular individual coming to you, you know how he coming, like this is what he coming to speak about. You know what I'm saying? Or you know, so uh it's kind of like, you know, you don't have a whole bunch of people jumping down your neck if you do make a mistake, because we all building, we all learning, we all growing, you know.
Ashe.
Ashe.
I'll go.
Ashe.
Ashe.
One issue that I kind of see with that is timing. So if that one person, for whatever reason, is not available, what? I say.
Ashe.
Ashe.
I go as far as in like not available, because I mean, you know, like whoever that person has to be, uh, whoever we would pick that person to be, he definitely had to sort of be, you know, he had to be in it. So, you know what I'm saying, recognize between not being available at a particular time and never being available. You see what I'm saying? So that's one thing that we have to worry about if we was on a particular person. That's something we definitely would have to consider.
I'll go. Bobby, as you, I know it's a storm out there where you're at, so you're breaking up. If possible, could you repeat your last statement?
No problem. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me now?
Yes.
I forgot where I was going. So, what I was saying was that that's something that we definitely should consider, because it's a difference between available at a particular moment in time and never being available. You see what I'm saying? Like, we got to make sure that if we was gonna pick a particular person, that they would have to definitely be around. You know what I'm saying? Or be, we can be like, okay, you know, well, this is the situation, this is what happened, so on. Did everybody get all of that?
I say.
I go.
Ashe.
Ashe. Well, in past experience, I would say if an elder has been disrespected by a member, and there's 8 or 10 of us on there, these 8 or 10 should let that person know. I don't think it should just be one. It's the same thing with Amun Ra. One of the elders is being disrespected. I expect for everyone that's there to come together and let that person know, hey man, you was foul and that's not going to be taken. I don't care if it was a brother that's an Eminem or fellow craft. If it was a disrespect coming to an elder, I think whoever's on that line or whoever's in the present, handle it, because it shows unity. And then, I mean, if it comes to a point where you need a spokesperson, then afterwards, then yeah, you get your spokesperson. But I think in situations, just like in law enforcement, so we're not going to wait for the lieutenant to come and handle something. No, all of us is there. We're going to handle it. and then we'll go in conference or a caucus, and then we'll explain to them what happened, and then, hey, let the spokesperson come and clean it up. But I think, and I have to be honest, if I see elders getting attacked, I'm not going to wait for a brother that I hope is on to be on to say something. No, I'm going to go at it. I mean, with the issue that had happened before, I actually called that brother and told him that he was out of pocket. And that regardless to what, I'm behind the E-Ray. And if that's going to continue, then he and I have problems as well. And in the same situation, when that brother had a problem with outsiders from out of our state, and we contacted the brothers from the outsider from out of state and said, hey, this is our brother, and to try to bring harm to him is to try to bring harm to us as well, and we weren't going to let that happen. So in saying this, I'm saying that this is me, no matter who the person is, if it's disrespecting the elder, and I feel there's disrespect, I'm going to address you. And if I have to come and caucus with the rest of the elders for my action, then so be it. That's just me. And on the thing of disrespecting the elder as well, I mean, if the elder is giving a class and the brother don't agree with the topic or the answer that is being given, I think when the elder opened it up for question and answer, that could be addressed, but sometimes brother has to realize it's the point of agreeing or not agreeing, but as the point of keep going back and forth with the elder, I think right there is either trying to belittle the elder to show that the elder don't know what he or she is talking about, or to the point of I think just total disrespect. I mean, I would think if a brother or sister knows more about a topic that the elder is speaking of, I think they ought to respectfully know how to address that elder and give more insight to the topic than to go back and forth with the elder, trying to make the elder, they don't know what they're talking about. And let me see what else. What else is going through my head? Because I'm just going through some of the experience I went through with my elders, because being, and this is my experience, being part of the lodge, there has been members that went out to my elders because they didn't have an understanding of the teaching, because it wasn't going towards their protocol, so to speak, Masonically. And they were questioning it to a point where it becomes a point of disrespect, and we had to let them know that no, that's not going to be tolerated. And if we continue, then there's going to be other methods that's going to have to be addressed, so or be attended to. I mean, because at some point, you're in the eBay, you signed the Suru, and men, that means that we're going to protect the eBay by all costs, whether it's inside influence or outside influence. And that's what we sign on for. At least I think that's what we sign on for. I won't let no sister leave the eBay without a brother escorting them out, because I know the value of them. I won't let no sister leave the lodge without a brother escorting them. Or if we out in public, if I'm there, sister's not going out by herself. I mean, it's a respect thing. And then men, I know that, our women need to be respected as well, and they got to be protected. So, all right. I don't want on well. I train well.
Oh, shit.
That's it.
I go.
Oh, shit.
Not sure.
So speaking about the elders, because we kind of Mazel, you kind of touched on that for a hot second. Um, should we is Sons of Suru, or should we be like responsible for setting up some type of mediation? Because I think like you touched on a lot of situation type things that can happen, and that just brings to mind to me like you might, like you saying, what I'm saying, as far as like you might consider it obvious or general, what I'm saying, when we talk about respecting elders, you know what I mean? But I think that we should detailed write some of these things down and be them in protocol, like specifically, what I'm saying, like specific details and situations, because everybody see everything differently, you know what I mean? And like I say, what I'm saying, us moving in these energies, what I'm saying, like we might not know that we moving like that, but if it's something that's wrote down that says you shouldn't move like this or you shouldn't move like that or you can't specifically do this, you see what I'm saying? Then there's no excuse for not knowing or not being conscious of, the situation. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Ashe,
I'll say.
I go.
Hello? Okay, we
It,
went.
it,
Which one of us? Go ahead, Bob.
no, it definitely makes sense. However, in some situations, you just can't be so specific. But there are certain, and I know, common sense is not always so common, but there's certain things, whether it be elder, whether it be to women, or whether it be to each other, we should just know that we don't do. As earlier, Baba Maze said about, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And I know, Baba Iju, you say you don't mind it raw, but you still know how to respect other people, in terms of, what not to say, when to say, all that kind of thing. And I think we all do. And sometimes people just push it just to keep on pushing it to see how far they can push it. And that won't be tolerated.
I say.
Ashe.
I'll go.
Ashe.
I'll go.
Ashe.
I mean, I look at it as, look at your rights. Here in Chicago, we had a sugar right, and they put it into law that we were going to pay the sugar right, whether it was right or wrong. I mean, it gets to the point where if you start everything that you don't want to happen, then you are really hurting self as well. Because there was a situation where I'm backing up, our elder was in trouble, or I felt the elder was being disrespected. But in the bylaw, it specifically states that this is what is constituted as the elder being disrespected. And I go by those laws, and I'm like, well, according to law such and such, he wasn't being disrespected, or she wasn't being disrespected. I think sometimes when you write things into law, it takes away or gives that person an excuse not to use common sense. And I think you will, well, I can't say that because I've seen such situations where people don't respect their parents like they should be respected. So I was going to say that you respect your elders the way that you respect your own parents. But can't say that because I know and have seen, not in the ELA, but I have seen elsewhere where parents was not being respected. So I know they wouldn't respect their godparents the same way. So, but in saying that, I'm just, is that I think as common sense goes, everyone knows when you're on that borderline of totally disrespecting someone. So, okay, you're gonna start me going again. I stand down.
I go
Ashe.
real quick because I know we're trying to wrap up. But again, different people come in with different things in the suitcase. So some people might not uh, be that versed in um, how to interact with other people or what is considered respect or disrespect. You have a general idea, but again, that's the purpose of this group. We're all coming in as babies, right, and working our way up to eldership. Um, and so some people come in at different levels, and that's okay. That's the purpose in us speaking up. So if they didn't know, that's when they learn. And if they have questions, there's space for dialogue. It just won't be in the setting where everybody else is present. Whatever the function is. That's why we say we're gonna pull them out, have a preferably, uh, at least two people, hopefully some elders, as many people as, well, I won't say as many people as possible. It depends on the situation. But the idea is that, um, okay, Yuju is coming in disrespectful. He may or may not know. We don't know where he's at with things. So that's why we want to pull him out and have a discussion. We're not going to come at him with axes and knives and just take him out and then leave him for dead. We're going to, pull him out, address what we're seeing, get an idea of where he is, what his understanding is, and come up with a different course of action, you know, uh, where things work for everybody. Um, so yeah, that's the general idea. That's how I see it. I say.
I see. Uh, quick, I go. Prime example, the Laws did an event. Mine came. It was a good event. It was funny and all. But the thing I was a little upset was that when mom walked outside the door, our protocol there, and that's for all brothers, is that when a sister walks outside the door, someone makes sure she gets to her car, gets started, and she's able to, move on.
Mhm.
I noticed didn't want to move, so I called her with her and I made sure she got to her car and all. And saying this, she said it was okay, but it wasn't okay because in my upbringing, see, when my sisters walk outside their door by herself, it was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I see it more and more, especially with younger adults, is that they let the girl, um, I guess, they don't protect as they should. As far as what I've seen growing up in my age, I guess. But um, that was just an issue that I wanted to address with my brothers, that they know how I feel about any sister walking outside the door by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I have to do it, I'll do it. But there's just certain things that, with the respect level, I keep with me, and I mean that was just instilled in me. So I guess, like Sanjay says, we putting the groundwork together, and we're growing with it. I guess we know better, we do better. But that's just some of my things that I do, and I know. Okay, I'm starting my rant again. I transgress. Sorry. I'm gonna be quiet. I'm trying to be no more. So
it's all good.
I go.
I see.
Yeah, I just like to expand that. I wouldn't necessarily say only make sure sisters get to their car. Because for instance, the Elay is in a rough spot. So I might not necessarily walk out with the brother. I might stand on the porch. I'm definitely going to look out the window, or say somebody should make sure the person gets to their car. Because anything can happen. nobody would even know anything happened. So we're all strong, we're all warriors and so forth, but we're supposed to have each other's backs all the time. That's everybody. I say.
I say.
I'll say.
Okay. And it's stronger numbers with force than not. So sometimes when a brother is acting up, I don't want to say anything else. Sometimes when a brother is acting up, you may need that force to go along with it than just have one person talking with it, because whatever spirit is in that person, even conscious-wise, they see numbers and they know it's going to take to go through those numbers versus one person. That's why in law enforcement, you notice the cavalry come, because it was just one officer. I don't think it would be respect nowhere down the line. But when you get the cavalry coming, saying, hey, brother, takes us a line, and they see that everyone is there saying the same thing, then they know it's either get in line or, hey, I got to go. And what happens normally, they remove themselves because they see we all in like-minded. So, I'm stopping. Okay. I'm not saying anything else. That's it. Later. I'm just listening.
I'll go.
I say.
If we are done, I would like to close out. Have Baba
I say.
Alashoka close us out. If you will, Baba. You don't have to. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just digress.
It's quite all right.
Yes, sir.
I was getting ready to listen. If it would have been up to me, I was getting ready to point it at you. So it's all good. You just got me ahead of time, but that's all good. I'm always willing to go forward to the Father.
Yes, I appreciate it.
Mm.
We yield the floor.
Father God, we thank you and we praise you and we magnify you for all things. Truly, a King of Kings, Lord of Lords, and everlasting Father, the great I am, the Prince of Peace, the bright and morning star. We thank you and praise you, O Lord, for the opportunity to come together as brothers in the sons of Suru under Ile Okuni and Nu. We thank you for our leadership, for all of the EAME, Babalaos, for all of the officers and spiritual leaders within our organization. We thank you and praise you, Lord, for having a desire that you put in our hearts to strive to find truth, to walk as true kings and queens within our civilization, Lord. We thank you for all the words that have been spoken. We pray that it's all come from the heart. We pray, Lord, that you continue to give us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding so that when we speak, others will see and hear what we have to say and see the light and want to glorify you. We thank you and praise you as we go forward in our prospective lives, knowing that we're connected, but Lord, going forward victorious, so that when we go forward, we know that we're just walking in numbers, even though it may seem like it's just ourselves. We have you at our back and actually in our forefront, cutting forward through the path and making all things come to pass on our behalf. So we thank you and praise you right now. And we pray, Lord, that you continue to speak peace and love to our hearts so that we can just walk in love forever and ever. All things right now. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe.
Ashe and amen.
Ashe.
Amen.
With that being said, thank you, brothers. Be safe. Until we meet again. Odabo.
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 Odabo.